Hi again, it's Ben from Bioremedy. In this video, I want to discuss how chemicals are used to manage unwanted aquatic plants and algae. The use of aquatic registered herbicides and algicides are an effective short-term water management solution that relieve your water body from the congestion of aquatic plants and algae. But how does this process start? Well, a good place to start is by identifying the type of plant or algae that is infesting your lake or pond. There are some very useful tools online that can make this easy. The first has been developed by New South Wales Government called Recognising Water Weeds, and another developed by Brisbane City Council that can be found at www.weeds.brisbane.qld.gov.au. And if you're still not sure, simply contact us at Bioremedy, the leading experts in aquatic plant and algae management. So once the type of weeds have been identified, an appropriate aquatic registered herbicide or algicide can be selected and applied. The two most common registered herbicides are Reglone, wielding dicot as the active ingredient, and Erase 510 with glyphosate being the active ingredient. As for algicides, the two most common are cupramine and cupricide, housing components that kill both filamentous and planktonic algae. So let's dive a little deeper on cupricide. Cupricide is a mixed copper alkanolamine complex. In this form, cupricide provides maximum algicidal efficiency but has a low toxicity level, being non-harmful to fish. The organic complexing agents used in cupricide ensure that the key active ingredient, copper, remains in the solution and does not precipitate out like some other copper algicides, namely copper sulphate. Copper sulphate has been used extensively throughout Australia as an algicide but has several drawbacks associated with its use. Firstly, copper sulphate is not algal specific. In fact, it can be quite toxic to other aquatic life when used at high concentrations. Secondly, if the water contains a high concentration of carbonate ions, the copper ions will combine with the carbonate and form an insoluble precipitate of copper carbonate. This precipitate sinks to the bottom of the water body where it forms a toxic slime. This formation also renders the copper unavailable for control of algae. To compensate, higher levels of copper sulphate are used, which, as stated above, may seriously threaten other aquatic life. Finally, copper sulphate containing algicides also combine with hydrogen ions in an aqueous solution to form sulfuric acid, which is highly corrosive. So for these reasons, cupricide is a much more effective and efficient product for algae control than copper sulphate. How are these products applied? Well, the answer is via surface spraying techniques designed to battle surface and emergent plants, and via subsurface dosing for submerged plants. In doing so, results can be seen in 7 to 10 days after application. Please keep in mind, caution must be used when applying these chemicals in lakes and ponds, in situations where the density of plants is quite high compared to the water body volume. The application must be then broken into segments by preparing the chemicals at the recommended rates, but only applying it to around 1/4 of the water body in a single application. This reduces undesired impacts on the water chemistry, most commonly a dissolved oxygen crash. Other precautions to take when using these chemicals include reading product labels and safety data sheets prior to use, and always adhere to recommended usage rates. You also need to consider the spray drift, water chemistry, and application under the right weather conditions before using chemicals in lakes and ponds. Personal protective equipment should be used, including overalls, safety glasses, face masks, gloves, adequate footwear, and if you're working from a boat, a life jacket. Care should always be taken when handling chemicals, and I strongly recommend the use of spill kits to prevent unwanted contamination. Once the plants are decaying, the post-application process begins. Dissolved oxygen levels can drop as part of the decomposition process. Therefore, it is important, where possible, to have adequate aeration in place prior to the application of chemicals. So once the desired outcomes have been achieved, the next step is to apply an aquatic probiotic or beneficial bacteria. Applying these solutions will reduce decaying plant matter, completely remove them from the system, and stop the matter from becoming food for future plants and algae. In the end, the use of chemicals as a short-term lake and pond management solution will enable you to implement other longer-term solutions that we have discussed in previous videos, such as mechanical aeration and circulation. Finding these videos helpful? Please jump onto bioremedy.com.au for more info, like us on Facebook and LinkedIn, and feel free to ask any questions through the Contact Us platform. Thanks again for watching.